What's up, guys? This is Anime Crossover. I'm back with another episode of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Dragon King of the Sea, Part 6. And if you did enjoy this video, give this video a like. And if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more crossover fictions with the twist. Now let's begin this new video.
20th chapter Dragon's Triumph. He has altered, and his magical strength has grown immensely. He must have fought Cobra and earned his poison element, a dual element mode. I can only picture the havoc this form will bring. Then Zero smirked. Destruction. Dark Rondo, says the narrator. Zero gathered his dark shades into his hands and unleashed them in quick succession, but Naruto vanished and reappeared in front of him, punching him in the gut and causing him to spit in pain. Naruto then hit him with a spin kick, sending him flying back. I leave the rest to you, Sir Naruto. Jura passed out, but he knew Naruto could handle Zero in his current state. Zero had risen from the ground, and Naruto was staring down at him with a solemn expression. Zero charged back at him, and Naruto did the same. Play Dragon Ball Super Ost Ultimate Tag Team at the same time as Natsu and Silva. Natsu was now alone with his opponent after the rest had left. Silva let out a war roar and charged Natsu, who dived beneath his flailing claws. Natsu slammed a right punch on Silva's chin, causing the beast to fly up about 20 meters. Silva regained control and turned backwards while still in the air, landing on top of a home. He inhaled deeply and then released a black-colored beam from his mouth toward Natsu. Natsu countered by throwing a fireball from the palm of his right hand, both assaults connecting and resulting in an explosion that engulfed the entire region. Returning to Naruto versus Zero, Naruto stepped in front of Zero and kicked him. Zero whirled around to strike Naruto with his increased right swipes, but Naruto leapt above his head, grabbed his waist, and did a German suplex on him. Naruto backflips away from Zero after he hits the ground head first. Zero recovered and smacked Naruto with a powerful black blast, sending Naruto falling back a few meters. After Naruto regained his footing, Zero unleashed a barrage of dark blasts on the Sea Dragon Slayer. When Naruto saw them, he moved quickly, appearing to teleport but actually moving faster than the eye could see. Naruto then performed a handstand and poisoned his right leg while coating his left with water. Naruto began whirling, overwhelming Zero's blows. Shit. I can't let it get to me. Zero cloaked his entire body in darkness in preparation for an explosion, but Naruto's assault pierced it and sent Zero backwards. My attacks are less effective than before since I haven't yet perfected this shape. Furthermore, I just used it without consuming any poison or water, so I can only use this form for a limited time. Zero's darkness-enhanced kick was stopped by Naruto. Returning with Natsu and Silva, I can feel my strength dwindling. I knew it, I'm still recovering from our previous fight, and the flames that bastard put on me weren't enough to compensate for the lacrima I ate. Plus, it appears that this thing's wounds are healing slightly. Natsu was throwing blows with Silva when he noticed something strange. Something is wrong here. He's getting better. Natsu was taking less damage than Silva at the moment, but Silva's attacks were becoming more powerful. Silva jumped back, putting some distance between himself and Natsu. Silva shouted as numerous small black orbs emerged from his body. The orbs began to twist before releasing dark beams at Natsu. Natsu's body caught fire and impacted with the beams. Natsu suddenly closed the gap and was beneath the werewolf, hitting his chin with a flame-enhanced kick and launching him back into the air. Natsu moved quickly this time, using his flames to catapult himself above Silva. Natsu smacked him with a flame-enhanced kick, causing the ground to fall and sending Silva beneath. Natsu was standing on top of the hole. Silva, however, was not finished and jumped back up, his power increasing once more, but Natsu noted that its wounds were mending slower than before. My greater strikes are working. If it hadn't been for my flames, I wouldn't have been able to dent him. Natsu felt his power dwindle once more. He then observed a faint glow surrounding Silva. Something is endowing him with power. Natsu turned around to see what was giving Silva power, while still dodging his claw swipes. Think, Natsu. What gives him this authority? What does a wolf do? Natsu began to consider what he could do to help himself in this predicament. Natsu was able to put some distance between them. Silva howled as an aura encircled him, mending some of his more grievous wounds. Don't wolves howl when the moon is out? Natsu gazed up to see a crescent moon that was already half full. That's all there is to it. Because of the moon, he's growing stronger. He should be down for the count if I can strike him with a powerful enough attack and knock him out. But I'd already lost half my strength from eating those flames. That means I have to put everything into this final assault. From Lucis Group, those guys aren't holding anything back, do they? Lucy posed a rhetorical query before turning to face the flying Happy. "Were you serious about Naruto transforming?" Happy responded enthusiastically. "It was awesome. That Cobra guy couldn't touch him, and Naruto beat him so fast. I don't think even Urza could beat Naruto if he used that form." Gray and Lucy were both nervous after hearing the sentence. Wendy, on the other hand, was relieved. "That means there's nothing to be concerned about. They will be defeated by those two." She told them she trusted her fellow Dragon Slayers. Gray had his own thoughts as they continued on their way to their objective. "There's no doubt about it, that woman we saw. She was the daughter of Master but I thought she died?" Gray shook his head and returned his attention to the task at hand. Returning to Naruto, Zero used the space between himself and Naruto to hurl multiple black blasts, noting Naruto gradually losing his edge. Naruto, on the other hand, grinned as he used Dragon Jet to close the distance and go within striking reach. Zero attempted to strike him with both hands, but Naruto sprang over him and grabbed his head with his right hand. Poison Dragon's Grip. Strike. Naruto sprayed poison from the grabbed hand before tossing Zero into a nearby structure. Naruto trembled slightly, knowing he didn't have much time in this shape. Naruto then noticed Zero's power increasing. He intends to finish it right now. "I guess I don't have a choice." Naruto took a deep breath and concentrated the remainder of Poison Sea Dragon mode's power to release a Dragon's Roar. Poison Sea Dragon's Roar. Genesis Zero. Exclaims the title. Zero released thousands of black phantoms, only for Naruto's attack to pierce through and strike Zero square in the face. A GHHHH. Zero shrieked, while Naruto's roar continued to blast him back. Naruto's blast ripped through many blocks and reached the city's outskirts, with Zero absorbing the most of the damage and reverting to brain, no longer aware. End of Ost. I defeated him. Naruto's metamorphosis was undone, and the blonde collapsed. "This is as far as I'm going, folks. I'll leave the rest to you." Naruto fell unconscious, yet he had a smile on his face. Returning to Natsu, playing Fairy Tail Ost Dragon Raid. He's becoming stronger and stronger, and I need to finish him off. His strikes are becoming more powerful, yet he is still taking damage from my fire. Natsu was panting heavily and his injuries were worse for wear, but Silva had also suffered fresh injuries. This could be my last opportunity. Natsu began to store his power, weakening his body and rendering him defenseless. I just have to avoid his attacks. As Natsu used his agility to avoid Silva's attacks, it was easier said than done. Fortunately for Natsu, he was able to injure Silva sufficiently to slow him down in his current form. Natsu jumped out of the way of Silva's left claw, which landed in a small crater. Natsu couldn't strike back for fear of wasting the power he was saving for a final all-out assault. However, Silva's tail swipe knocked Fairy Tail's resident troublemaker backwards towards the rubble and debris left by their fight. Silva followed Natsu only to discover him missing. Natsu used the environment around him to hide from Silva, which left a foul taste in his mouth because hiding was not something he would normally do. "I can't believe I'm hiding, but I don't have any other options right now." Natsu took cover behind a wall. Silva, like Natsu, did, however, have a heightened sense of smell. Silva swiped at the wall Natsu was hiding behind, but he was nowhere to be found. Natsu had moved to another wall, only for Silva to track his smell and keep him moving. "He can detect my scent as well. Man, if only I had two of me." Natsu then imagined a light bulb above his head. "That inspires me." Natsu moved behind another wall, grasping his jacket, to avoid another onslaught. Silva kept sniffing for Natsu, his wounds healing much faster than before, but not fast enough due to the influence of Natsu's flames. Silva detected Natsu's scent and dashed through the wall, only to discover Natsu's jacket fastened to a piece of wood resting against a wall. Natsu descended from the sky, brandishing a massive human-sized stone slab, and crashing it down Silva's head and torso. Silva collapsed, dazed by the attack. Natsu chose to flee Silva. "I figured wearing my jacket would throw his tracking off." Natsu's body started to emit steam. "Almost there. Just a few more seconds and I'll be able to beat that thing." Unfortunately for Natsu, Silva recovered quickly enough to come up to him and smack him to the side. "Ah!" Natsu spit blood after going through another all. Silva approached the falling Natsu and snatched the Dragon Slayer's throat, slamming Natsu to the ground. End of Ost. You still have a chance, just a little longer. Natsu's body began to heat up, searing Silva's claws and causing the wolf to withdraw in fear. The heat began to form a small sphere and grew into a gigantic crimson sphere surrounded by golden flames. The mini-sun was nearly as big as Natsu. Listen to Floix Granrodeo's Nanatsu no Tazai opening howling. This attack takes time to charge, and with my limited magic, I had to compare everything. Thanks to Dragon Force, I can cast this spell without fear of negative consequences. Silva could feel the heat from Natsu's technique making him sweat. Silva felt a surge of strength within him as the moon approached fullness. Silva howled as an aura enveloped him, quickly repairing his wounds. In exchange for using his magic power, his body and durability improved, but he lost the capacity to perform magic attacks. However, if the moon becomes full, he will be able to unleash his true power. Instead of running, Silva followed his instincts and charged Natsu at full speed. Even if you get to me, can you take the heat? Fire Dragon's secret art, Wrath. Natsu threw his sphere, his dragon force undone as he sent the sphere at Silva's wolf speed. Silva was hit square in the face and sent flying, with Natsu's blast destroying most of the city and forcing one of Nirvana's legs to break off, causing it to lose its equilibrium. End of Ost. I did it. Natsu exclaimed before collapsing face first onto the mud. You guys better not fail, since I don't have anything left in me right now, Natsu said as he joined Naruto in the land of the unconscious. Wendy's circle. Kurama had created a magical circle around the lacrima that was set to burst in 15 minutes, allowing them enough time to flee. Something must have happened outside. I have a feeling I know what happened, Gray grinned. Those two fools did it, everyone exclaimed as they fled the scene. You go to Natsu, I'll check on the blonde idiot, Kurama said as he raced away. Wendy wanted to accompany him, but she trusted Naruto and assumed he would be alright. Please be safe, Naruto. Wendy prayed in her thoughts and heart for Naruto's safety, but she also knew in her heart that he would be alright. The sight of Naruto, Naruto, yelled Kurama for the blonde, who was still unconscious. Kurama sighed in relief as he checked Naruto's heartbeat. Let's get you out of here, Kurama said, taking Naruto's left arm over his shoulder. Kurama focused and increased slightly. Good grief, you really overdo it. The place of Natsu. Wendy began to heal Natsu, who was still trapped in the region of dreams. They were all stunned when they witnessed the devastation he had wrought. Natsu was healed, but he is still sleeping. Let's go meet up with Kurama and the others, Gray said, carrying Natsu on his back. They all made their moves, but Gray deflected a dark magic blast. You people aren't going anywhere, they all said as they turned to face one of the buildings. Midnight had awoken, infuriated. My father, the Oración cease, and my dream. I may never get to them, but taking your lives will suffice for now. Midnight's magical might has risen, and he will show no mercy this time. Another group, unbeknownst to everyone, was already on their way to Nirvana. Damn, when did I turn into a mule? Kurama was carrying Naruto on his back when he overheard the blonde muttering something. What's wrong, brat? Old man Jura is not far away. You must assist him, Kurama, Naruto exclaimed before collapsing back into oblivion. Got it. He then observed the fallen leader of the Oración cease and approached him, lifting up the fallen madman with one of his tails. You're not getting off that easy, Kurama said as he hurried away with Naruto and Brain. Play Fairy Tale Ost Panther Lily, Wendy's group. Fall. Midnight unleashed a spiral of twisted air that would have shattered the group if Gray hadn't surrounded them with a dome of reinforced ice. It was instantly smashed, yet it accomplished its job of protecting everyone. Gray just avoided Midnight's onslaught, which ripped the earth underneath him to shreds. Gray took advantage of the opportunity to throw ice lances at Midnight, who dodged out of the way and then stopped his own attack. He avoided. They moved around him when we deployed our strikes on him earlier. So, what has changed? Gray made a bow and shot arrows towards Midnight, who stood there facing the attack. The arrows circled him. Gray returned to the others, but this time he was panting profusely. This time he didn't move at all. I can barely fight now because I've already battled too much. This person, he's distorting the air to attack. I can feel and hear it, Wendy told the others, as Midnight's eyes widened before launching an assault at Wendy, but Gray shoved her out of the path and got a big gash on his torso, blood spilling out of the ice wizard. Gray. Happy and Lucy yelled, sprinting towards the fallen wizard, who was barely conscious. Wendy went to heal him, but she was just in time to evade Midnight's strike. Midnight maneuvered his invisible scythe and continued to assault, with Carla and Happy assisting Wendy in flying into the air. Gray took advantage of the opportunity to ice the wound. Futile. Midnight continued his onslaught, but this provided Gray an opportunity to attack Midnight as an icicle, successfully slashing the latter's arm and forcing Midnight to stop his assault and move back. Gray attempted a second strike, but Midnight kicked the icicle out of his hands. Gray kicked him again, only to hit something solid instead. Shit. He can now deform my leg. But instead of what Gray expected, Midnight nearly severed his leg, if Gray hadn't retreated due to Midnight's time lag from casting his offensive magic. I understand now, Gray smirked at Midnight, although he was still breathing heavily. Damn, I'm out of gas here. I can scarcely perform any spells, so forming that icicle was the most I could do. He glanced to Wendy and Lucy, who were suspended in the air by the cats. I'm going to have to rely on them too to get this done. End of Ost. Lucy. Wendy. Both females turned to face him. Midnight realized Gray had identified his flaws and went back on the offensive. He can distort air and any material thing, but he can't distort human bodies, but he can still block physical attacks. Gray started dodging, although he got grazed a couple times. He can't defend attacks while he's the one attacking. That's your chance to take him out. Gray was hit square in the face, creating a makeshift ice barrier before being knocked back and unconscious after sustaining another cut to his body. Gray. The females yelled for their buddy, and with the cats distracted, Midnight was able to attack at them. The cats maneuvered themselves out of his range, but only just, and were forced to dodge air blades thrown by Midnight. Mr. Gray stated that he cannot utilize his powers to defend while using his own strikes. That means we can beat him by exploiting this fact. If he focuses his attack on one of us, the other will have more time to hit him. Wendy turned to face Lucy and Happy. Lucy and Happy. Gray said that this person can't defend himself while attacking, so if one of us can get his attention, the rest of us can attack him while he's distracted, she explained, surprising Carla. Good thinking. Happy and I can handle the distraction. Right now, I don't have much in attack strength because my strongest celestial spirits are unavailable, Lucy said, and Happy agreed. Okay, but be careful, Lucy and Happy. The fairy tale wizards nodded and dove towards Midnight, avoiding his air swords. Midnight evaded their strike, forcing him to halt his attacks. He flipped backwards into the air, going rearward while still in mid-flight. Useless, he mocked, only to be hit from behind by Wendy's kick, who was still being flung around by Carla. He warned them about Reflector's flaws, that ice wizard. But that doesn't mean I'm going to sit back and let you take advantage of me. Midnight wrapped himself in a spiral that wrapped around his entire torso. I'll just rip you apart. The atmosphere surrounding him is shifting. Lucy, get out of his way, he's going on the attack. Wendy exclaimed to her new companions. Happy took off again, but not before Lucy received a few scratches on her body, causing her to hiss in pain. Lucy. Wendy pushed forward, Carla close behind. Sky Dragon's crushing fang. Wendy's attack collided with the spiral and was blown back. Wendy and Carla were apprehended by Happy and Lucy as they flew back down. Not bad. Your attack had some power behind it. Midnight only moved slightly from his position in comparison to Wendy, who was blown far further away. In terms of assault power, my reflector is ineffective, but it compensates for this with its defensive and cutting powers. Part of her attack almost got through my defenses. I became careless and let her push me back. Midnight grinned and laughed. His laugh is disturbing, Lucy thought to herself, and the others agreed. You can't beat me like this, he said, putting his right palm over his face and chuckling to himself. Wendy, on the other hand, spoke before he could. And you can't beat us now that we know how your magic works. Midnight laughed so hard that he had to hold his stomach. Ha 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 ha. You actually think I used my full power against you? Their eyes widened as Midnight's grin turned into a sinister grin. No, I have yet to use my full capabilities, and at midnight, I will show you my ultimate power. Midnight's power poured through the air surrounding him. Along with Natsu and Silva, an unknown figure approached Natsu and took out a communication lacrima. I have Natsu. Let's go get the others. Along with Kurama. I'm glad we got out of there, Kurama said, feeling a presence behind him. He turned around and said something. You're. Returning to Wendy's group, Sky Dragon's wing attack. Wendy swept her arms forward, creating whirlwinds that flew at a distracted Midnight, who was attacking Lucy and the two cats. Midnight was hit square in the face and launched into the air. I will not be defeated. Midnight reactivated Reflector, causing Wendy's strike to be reflected back at her. Wendy was hit, but she faced the attack head-on and radiated a green aura, dispersing the energy with a shockwave that left her body. Wendy. I've never seen you struggle so hard. In reality, you've never fought anyone before today. She began to reflect about something that had plagued her for some time. Flashback. Carla, please throw some more plates at me. Wendy begged the cat, who pulled the lever to activate a contraption that hurled numerous plates at her. Wendy concentrated and inhaled deeply before twirling about and motioning her arms, creating whirlwinds that smashed the plates upon contact. Wendy huffed and wiped the sweat from her brow. What happened to her? Let's take a break, Wendy. You look tired, Carla informed her friend, intrigued by Wendy's transformation. Carla offered Wendy some water and inquired as to why she was exercising. Because I need to get stronger so that the next time I meet him, I won't be a burden. Carla noticed Wendy say him confidently for the first time. Is she doing it to impress a boy? Carla was perplexed. She had a lot of perverts following her, despite the fact that she hasn't exhibited any interest in anyone. Most girls would jump over even some handsome boys. I'll never forget that dirty animal, she even booted him where the sun didn't shine. End of flashback. That Naruto dude. He's the reason her confidence grew. She smiled slightly. Perhaps it's a good thing you met her. Carla was so immersed in her thoughts that she didn't notice Midnight's impending attack until it was too late. Carla was blasted skyward and knocked out. Wendy called out for her pal, Carla, and was joined by Happy. Midnight attempted to use this to attack the distracted Wendy, but Happy knocked him off balance with a headbutt from behind. My turn, you creep. Lucy exclaimed, jumping and concentrating. Lucy kick. Lucy attempted to kick Midnight, but the young man grabbed her leg and hurled her at Wendy, who caught her. Midnight then seized Happy's head and threw him towards the girls. Happy appeared in front of them, face first, with swirls for eyes. Oh no, Happy. Lucy and Wendy stared at him, noticing he was mumbling incoherently. Midnight fractured his neck but suffered less damage than the females. Midnight noticed the moon above him and realized something significant. It's time to call it a day, little girls, he said, pointing to the sky. You see, now is the time for me to show you my true power, a power I can only reach when the clock strikes midnight. The girl's eyes widened as she realized it was just a few seconds until midnight. However, there was one person in the area who had gone unnoticed. It's time for my nightmare terror. Midnight's power level increased, and he began to transform into a monster, scaring the girls, only for that illusion to crumble as Midnight's lower half, then his entire body, remained frozen. What? The girls and Midnight exclaimed as they noticed Gray's hands on the ground, freezing it and stopping Midnight from casting his spell. Gray. Both females exclaimed, relieved. Listen to Fairy Tale Ost Dragon Force. Wendy. He's open, finish him off with a dragon's roar, Gray exclaimed, causing the Kate Shelter wizard to pause. But I've only used my dragon's roar once, what if I can't do it? Wendy was frightened, but Lucy put a hand on her shoulder and calmed her down. We're with you on this, Wendy. We know you can do it. Just know you're not alone, Lucy said, restoring Wendy's confidence. You can count on me, she said to Lucy, only to have Gray yell at them. Hurry up. He's cracking the ice, and it'll only be a matter of time before he's free. Do it now. Midnight was steadily cracking the ice by focusing his magic, and he'd be free in no time. Wendy, take a deep breath. Breathe. Wendy channeled magic into her body and began to breathe in, swallowing air. She concentrated as the wind howled about her. Now let go and howl to the wind. Sky Dragon's roar. Midnight managed to get free, but it was too late and he was smacked square in the face. How could I fail? Midnight had flashbacks of being a child imprisoned within a cell at the Tower of Heaven, and then meeting Brain. I have let you down, father. Midnight was blown away and permanently knocked out. We did it. Wendy and Lucy said, as Gray beamed. Wendy was ready to cure Happy and Carla when the girls scooped them up, only for Nirvana to shake. Damn. We've run out of time. Gray yelled as they all hurried to flee. Gray rushed to pick up Midnight, but they all realized it was pointless at this point. A ladder appeared out of nowhere, forcing everyone to glance up to see Christina and the members of Blue Pegasus. Listen to the Fairy Tale Ost Blue Pegasus theme. Need a hand. Leon and Kurama were on the ladder, with Kurama grabbing Gray and Midnight with one of his tails, then grabbing the girls and cats with other tails. You guys are okay. Lucy was relieved to see that everyone was fine. Wait. What about Naruto and Natsu? Wendy inquired, but Kurama smirked. Wendy breathed a sigh of relief as she heard, already in the ship, they beat their opponents and are safe. Christina and her companions flew away from the falling Nirvana. The coalition had triumphed. Oracion Cease and 2 Demon Blade members have been killed. Naruto sprinted through Magnolia Town in the rain, tripping on a puddle before getting back up. It's not possible. She can't be gone. She can't possibly be. Naruto arrived at his target and smashed through the doors of Fairy Tale. He discovered everyone in mourning, with Mira literally crying her eyes out and Elfman faring no better. He turned to the side, where the girls were crying and the males were clutching their fists, some of whom were crying. He noticed Natsu looking down, his eyes closed and his mouth clenched. Naruto yelled as he pounded the wall behind him. Damn. Naruto quickly sat up and panted. He took a long breath in before exhaling. He looked around and discovered himself in a shack. What am I doing? He searched about till he saw Wendy sleeping on a chair. Naruto was wrapped up, but he thought his injuries had healed sufficiently for him to move. Wendy began to stir and awoke within seconds of Naruto getting out of bed. When she saw Naruto, she immediately tackled him into a hug, causing him to fall comically. Wendy. Wendy. Still hurt he. Naruto noted the tears in her eyes, but the smile on her face revealed that she was content. Thank you, she said softly, clutching him hard as if she was holding on for dear life. For what? Naruto was perplexed because all he felt he had done was finish the assignment. Wendy released him and wiped her tears away. Naruto was perplexed until she said, "You saved my guild." The leader of the Oración Cease wanted to use Nirvana to crush Kate's shelter. The other members of the Oración Cease told us after they woke up and were taken by the council. Naruto was stunned, grabbing Wendy's shoulders and pressing his face against her. After getting over her initial amazement at Naruto's actions, she blushed, but Naruto had a serious expression on his face. Wendy, how long was I out? He was not pleased with the response. 2 days, she said frankly, before going into detail about what happened during that time. A couple of days ago, I was contacted by the new magical council a while back, and it appears they sent reinforcements. They should be here in an hour, Ichiya said. However, the fairy tale members who were awake only smiled uneasily. Is there something wrong? Wendy inquired of Lucy, who explained why the old council disliked fairy tale. When Lucy was finished, everyone was wary of fairy tale's reputation. Wait, what about Naruto? Did he also cause that much destruction? Well, not as much as the others, but I've been told he pranked a lot of the council members and actually dyed the council's base with paint. This caused everyone's eyes to widen and turn white in horror, even fairy tale members. Oh yeah, that was funny. Naruto, please let me finish. Sorry, carry on. He can't be that bad, right? Leon remarked, but Gray, who was red, responded. Naruto and I were on a quest, and I stripped everything off, including my underwear. Naruto brought extra clothes, and instead of my clothes that Master told him to bring, he brought one of Myra's dresses. Gray looked embarrassed, and Lucy and Happy began to chuckle. You didn't actually wear it, did you? Lucy couldn't help but laugh. Gray looked down, embarrassed. I had to, or I'd have been arrested for public indecency, again. He spoke the last bit in hushed tones, but Wendy heard him because of her heightened hearing. Lucy and Happy both giggled as they envisioned Gray in Myra's clothing. Wendy giggled but assured Gray confidently, I'm sure Naruto's matured since then. It was last week, he remarked, laughing along with the others, who were joined by everyone else. Leon even laughed a little. You're a jerk, Naruto. Anyway, Jura, who had awoken a while ago and had not laughed at Gray's misfortune, drew everyone's attention to himself by coughing. Make sure we land nearby and contact the council's reinforcements, Sir Ichiya. The little guy nodded and smiled. They landed, and the Rune Knights arrived within an hour, with one standing out among them. A man with black hair and glasses. Greetings, my name is Lahar, and I am the captain of this unit. He signaled for his men to bring in the carriage that would transport the Oración Cease members. I believe you said most of the Oración Cease members were accounted for, with the exception of the ones named Cobra and Hatai, I believe. Everyone in the gang flinched as Hatai became a buddy when his evil influence was eliminated. Wendy was the first to speak up. Wendy was more secure after meeting with the other alliance members. Excuse me, but Mr. Hatai's real name was Richard. Was? Am I to assume you killed him? Lahar inquired, only for Jura to describe all that had transpired, from Silva's entrance to how Nirvana eliminated the evil power within Hatai and how the man sacrificed himself to allow Jura and Gray to escape. I see, but that does not excuse the sins he committed in the past, but since he is already dead, it does not concern me. This outraged everyone who met the real Richard, especially Jura. Lahar, while I may agree that he had committed sins in the past, I advise you not to speak ill of him. This surprised the Rune Knights as well as his own comrades that Jura showed some anger and he released a slither of his magic, making the council's enforcement unit feel fear, with only Lahar barely able to remain calm, albeit with sweat falling down his face. I apologize for my insensitive remark, Sir Jura. He took out a letter and presented it to him. That is a letter from Kakashi Hatake, Jura said, nervous because Ichiya and Leon both knew what that name signified. Kakashi Hatake. That name sounds familiar, but from where? Lucy exclaimed, only for Ichiya to reveal who Kakashi was. Kakashi Hatake is the 6th seat of the Wizard Saints, everyone who didn't know thought. Leon mentioned how powerful the man was thought to be. It is said that he became an S-class wizard at the age of 13 and was a prodigy in magic. Laughter might be heard unexpectedly. Ha 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 ha. Midnight was awake, albeit still very feeble. That's a name my father warned me not to use. How the hell are you still conscious? Gray demanded, rather than asking a question. Midnight only laughed and turned to Wendy, who was startled by his strange smile. I was able to use my offensive spell to reduce the damage after your attack landed. but right now, I don't even have the strength to move, aside from my mouth and eyes, of course," he moaned in anguish. "You were a lucky girl. Father wanted to destroy your guild first, but you and your little friend stopped him before he could." Wendy was taken aback. That means Naruto stopped him from using Nirvana to attack Kate's shelter. Wendy was so happy that her friend had protected her guild that she cried a few tears before wiping them away. "You said father, are you perhaps referring to Brain?" Jura said, only to be answered by a nod. "I have failed my father, but rest assured, the Oración Cease will return, and I promise you, the next time we fight, we will destroy you." Midnight was abducted, along with the other members of the Oración Cease and Silva. End of flashback. "So, Cobra got away then? I knew I should have tied him up after I beat him. Hehehehe." Naruto rubbed his brow, as Wendy shook her head. "No, you did more than enough, and Kate's shelter still stands because of you. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for us." She was about to cry again, but Naruto placed his right hand on top of her head. "If it keeps that smile on your face, I'd gladly do whatever it takes," Naruto said, sharing a smile with Wendy. Naruto then took a glance around him. "Where exactly are we?" "We're at Kate's shelter. Master Rubel let you all stay, but he wanted to speak with us after you and Natsu awoke. She told him to wait inside for a minute while she went to get him some clothes. She returned with a tribal outfit for him." "Thank you," Wendy said before leaving Naruto to change. Naruto changed and emerged from the hut, where he was greeted by a cheerful Wendy. She inquired, "How do they feel, Naruto?" "A little itchy, but not too shabby," he said, making her laugh. A voice interrupted their talk. "Will you two lovebirds stop flirting? Some people are trying to sleep here." The two leapt into the air, and Naruto snatched Wendy into his arms. They turned to find Kurama rubbing his head and yawning, as if he had awoken from his nap. What a coincidence. While Lucy is away, Lucy had just dressed Natsu after Happy informed her that he had awoken. "So, did we win?" inquired the Dragon Slayer. "Yeah, mainly because you and Naruto took out Silva and Zero," she said enthusiastically. Lucy responded to Natsu's look around. "This is Wendy's guild, Kate's shelter." Natsu thanked her and sighed. "Jelal, that fire he hit me with made me stronger, and he should know that fire won't work on me," Natsu said as he noticed the alliance members, Gray and Leon, both shirtless. "Not you, too." Everyone was dressed in clothes provided by Kate's shelter, and the Trimans were attempting to hit on the females. Despite the fact that Sherry and Ren appeared to be falling in love, Naruto vowed to beat up the other two. Master Rubal, an elderly man who wore tribal garb like the other Kate shelter residents and was slightly taller than Makarov. Rubal smiled graciously at each of them, as did everyone else in Kate shelter save Wendy and Carla. "Thank you for destroying Nirvana. You have no idea how much a burden that thing placed on us," he said, his smile fading to a frown. "I apologize for not telling you the truth, my friends." "Do you mean about being Nervate descendants? That's fine. We understand why you kept it a secret," Lucy said, and her opinions were shared with the others. Rubal, on the other hand, shook his head. "That is not what I meant. Brain thought we were the descendants, but the fact is that we are not." His remarks perplexed the alliance members, but he continued again. "We are the Nervate," he said, shocking them to their core. "Listen to Naruto Shippuden Ost Senya, M. Master." Wendy feared what Rubal would say next, as the elderly man smiled at her. "I'm sorry, my child," he said as he returned his gaze to the group. "I was the man who created Nirvana." He began to relate his story, and everyone listened closely. "Centuries ago, the world was torn apart by war, and I researched a way to create a magic that could end the wars, which is when I created Nirvana and used it to turn the dark hearts of men into light," he said, looking down. "However, I did not foresee what would happen next." Flashes to several of his tribesmen gripping their heads and then killing each other with various weapons. For all the darkness it had turned into light, Nirvana had taken more darkness within itself. The group was not pleased with this development. "It's a matter of balance. When darkness is born, light is born, and when light is born, darkness is born," he said, placing his left palm on top of his head before lowering it and continuing. "My people were consumed by darkness until I was left. My physical body died many years ago, and I am now a spirit. So you stayed behind and watched over this place until someone with the power you didn't have found and destroyed it someday," Jura pieced together. "That is correct, Sir Jura," Wendy said, stepping back in denial, Carla gazing down. "That can't be true, it can't be," she almost yelled, only for some of her guild mates to vanish one by one. "Instead, use fairy tale Ost the heart to believe. Magna. Pepple." Wendy screamed out to her companions, only to have them all smile and walk away one by one. "These people, illusions with personalities. shouted Hibiki, loud enough for the wizards to hear. Naruto was the first to understand what this meant. You made Kate shelter just for Wendy, he said, looking at the child in denial, Carla not faring any better. That's right. A boy arrived with Wendy 7 years ago. Jelal had an unconscious Wendy slung over his shoulder. She was no more than 11 or 12 years old, closer to Jalal's age at the time, who appeared to be 14. Please look after this little girl. Taken aback by his clear and earnest gaze, I couldn't refuse him. Rubol recalled the events that led to the creation of Kate's shelter. Wendy was crying and wanted to know where Jelal was, but Rubol couldn't tell her because he didn't know where the youngster had gone. Where am I, sir? She inquired, glancing down. I'd then considered using my magic to create the illusion of a guild. This is a guild. A wizard's guild. This appeared to brighten Wendy up. Really? I used the old symbol of my tribe. More illusions crumbled. I'm sorry, Wendy. I did it to make you happy, and I hope you can forgive this old fool. Wendy was too overcome with grief to speak. But now it is time for me to rest, he said, which upset the young girl even more because she did not want him to leave. No, you can't, Master. Yukiko, Edward, Josuke. As more of Wendy's companions vanished, she was on her hands and knees, the wizards watching her with despair. Carla averted her gaze and burst into tears. Do not be sad, Wendy, Carla, for you have found yourselves great companions, he said, looking at the Fairy Tail, Blue Pegasus, and Lamia Scale members. I can no longer maintain this charade, but know this, he said, smiling one last time. I am grateful to have met such remarkable people, and most of all, he said, looking back at Wendy and Carla, who were weeping in response. I'm glad to see the two of you grow into remarkable beings, Rubol said as the last of his power faded away. Wendy screamed, no, as everyone else looked down. The village had vanished totally. Naruto's hands tensed before he released them again and approached Wendy. He knelt and placed his right hand on the girl's shoulder, while his left hand rested on top of Carla's head. They both temporarily ceased weeping. It's okay to be upset. Losing a loved one is always painful, but the important thing is that we always remember them, the good and the bad. Your guild may be gone, but it lives on in your memories and, most importantly, he beat his chest, your heart. He stood back up. Never forget that, and treasure the times you spent with them, Naruto said with a slight smile. It was because of you that the old man gained something to cherish. He was already dead and left his spirit behind so that one day, he could find someone who would be his salvation, he said with a sorrowful smile. He knew you'd find true friends one day, and his wish was for you to be happy and find those friends, he said, turning to the others, who were all giving him little smiles, especially Kurama. Naruto returned his attention to Wendy and extended his hand. What do you say? Will you join Fairy Tail? He was asked as Wendy held him and wailed into his chest, while Naruto hugged her back. Carla brushed away her tears as he glanced at her. That means yes, she said, a slight smile on her face. Fairy Tail has just gained 2 lifelong companions. End of Ost. A snowy landscape. Several people were crucified on crosses, with blood all over the place. A woman with no mercy sat atop a makeshift throne. Esdeath, the bloodthirsty Ice Queen who is a member of the Demon Blades. How boring. She exclaimed, jumping down and smiling evilly. Is there no enemy anywhere that can satisfy me? Both Natsu and Naruto were motion sick. Wendy informed them that Troya's impact wears off and they develop an immunity to it, so she must use it sparingly. We're here, let's get them out before they puke in the carriage. Gray led the way out, taking up Natsu while Wendy assisted Naruto. Thank you, Wendy, Naruto said gratefully, as Wendy smiled back at him and assisted him in walking towards Fairy Tail's building. Naruto and Natsu regained their vigor after a few minutes. You ready? I'm a little nervous. Wendy gulped at the prospect of meeting so many new people and worried that she wouldn't fit in at Fairy Tail. What if I don't fit in? Naruto smiled as he touched her shoulder. Then I'll do everything I can to make sure you do, and you'll be fine, he said, fighting against something that would make her move. Wendy gained confidence and drew Naruto along with her as she said, you'll get to meet Mira and Urza. That ruffian sure knows how to make her confident, doesn't he? Carla observed, while she did not approve of how close he was getting to Wendy, despite the fact that he was the reason they had joined Fairy Tail in the first place. Well, I've only known Naruto for a short time, but he's a nice guy. Though, him and Natsu are similar when it comes to fighting and everything else, Lucy told her, despite the fact that she knew the 2 Dragon Slayers were a handful most of the time. That may be, but I don't want him to do anything to Wendy, she said, prompting the boy and girl to wail. It's not like that. The shout prompted a brief discussion among the members of the group. Yeah, now that I think about it, Naruto would be too dense to like a girl. Honestly, it reminds me of the time Mira said that I liked Natsu that way. This made Gray nod in agreement, though Happy still thought the two had a thing for one another, and Carla shared Happy's ideas. Mira said you like me? I like you too, Lucy. Natsu, being dense, didn't comprehend. This caused Lucy to flush and steam to come out of her ears. I mean, we're good friends, aren't we? Lucy burst out laughing. Wendy told Naruto, your friends are amazing. They're your friends now, too, he reminded her. Come on, let us introduce you to the guild, he said as he opened the doors to reveal everyone in the guild celebrating like there was no tomorrow. Yo, we're back. His booming voice awakened everyone, and much to the delight of male guild members, he stepped in front of Team Natsu members, Wendy next to him. Makarov approached and greeted them. Welcome back, you brats. I'm glad to see the operation was a success. He bowed to Wendy. Hello, my name is Makarov Dreyar, and I am the 3rd guild master of Fairy Tail. How are you? Wendy quickly bowed. Nice to meet you, Master Makarov. My name is Wendy Marvell. Her nerves returned, but Naruto pushed her forward by placing his hand on her shoulder. I wanted to KO if I could. Breathe, Wendy, breathe. You can do this, Naruto said, startling the majority of the guild with his actions. Right. She nodded and turned around before bowing once more. My friend and I want to join Fairy Tail, so I humbly request permission to join your guild. Okay. Makarov informed her plainly, which astonished the young lady. Just like that, she inquired. Yep, it's as easy as that, Makarov said, smiling. Where is your friend who wants to come? Carla's voice replied him. I'm right over here. Makarov then looked down to see Carla approach him gracefully. The reaction was immediate. Several people commented on Carla's resemblance to Happy. Please. I'm not like the male cat at all. However, Makarov received a bow from her. I appreciate you bringing us in. My name is Carla. The members of Fairy Tail greeted their new friends as soon as she stated those words. Well, this is unexpected. You brought some new pals with you. Urza then approached Wendy and Carla. Good day, there. I'm Urza Scarlet, and I'm delighted to meet you. Wendy was overjoyed to meet one of her idols, so she smiled at them. Nice to meet you, Miss Urza. She bowed to the redhead and was overjoyed to be met by Mira Jane. Wendy, Carla, nice to meet you. My name is Mira Jane Strauss, but you can call me Mira. Wendy returned Mira's greeting and expressed gratitude for the opportunity to meet her idols. I believe it's safe to assume Carla employs the same magic as Happy. But, if you don't mind my asking, what kind of magic do you use? I've always said that I'm nothing like that male cat. Carla was irritated to be compared to Happy yet again. Wendy's reaction was more positive. I'm okay, Miss Mira. I mostly utilize healing and support magic, but I've lately learned to use it for offensive as well. I'm the Sky Dragon Slayer, and I was taught by the Sky Dragon. When Wendy said those words, everyone who wasn't a part of the mission fell silent, and Wendy felt she said something wrong, her face a little downcast. I think they don't trust me? That's awesome. As the guild began to praise Wendy, someone from the back said. Wendy smiled as a result of this. Some of the men then approached her, asking for dates, only for Naruto to kick them all away. Stop bothering her. You're making her uncomfortable. Naruto approached Wendy and looked her in the eyes. If you let me know, I'll make sure no one bothers you. She gave him a thankful smile. Man, he's so possessive of her. Makarov then remembered a scene from Lisana's life. His eyes were just like before. He didn't comprehend, and he still doesn't, but he's falling for her. He wasn't as protective of Lisana, in fact. Gray turned to the ice wizard and tapped Makarov. The council, Gramps. They wrote a letter to ancient Jura. He informed me that the wizard saints were assembling. His expression was concerned. Did you get one, too? Makarov responded with a sigh. Yes, we have a meeting in 3 days. All 10 of us. Gray was intrigued by this. What possibly be so vital that all 10 of Ishgar's most powerful wizards must gather? Unfortunately for Gray, his musings were cut short when a chair was thrown at him, forcing him back. Oi! Gray joined the brawl that Natsu initiated, and the 2 newest members got a first-hand look at how Fairy Tail works. Isn't this place incredible, Carla? Wendy only grinned awkwardly, while Carla maintained her annoyed expression. That's certainly one way of putting it. Carla spoke in her typical tone. Lands unknown. I have returned, Lord Riku. Esdeath got down on one knee. Riku sat on his throne without his cloak for the first time, yet the shadows cloaked his face in darkness. According to what is shown of him, he has a muscular build similar to Laxus and wears white trousers with black knee-length boots. He was dressed in a black armless shirt with silver knight's gauntlets. You've done very well. She handed him a red stone that matched the one in Orion's bracelet. I have yet another task for you. Death remained in place and awaited his orders. Urza Scarlet is a woman who may be found in Magnolia Town. Bring her back here, alive and well. Titania, the fairy's queen. Why would you want to keep a formidable warrior alive? She questioned her boss. She was the one who fought Orion and is responsible for his imprisonment. The possibility of meeting a formidable foe piqued Death's interest. Alive, Death, I want her alive. Death's grin faded, but her eagerness remained. Is there anything that makes her stand out? Her explanation. Riku told her that according to reports, she generally donned armor and had red hair. Understood, please give me a few days. She bowed and went about her business, but Riku had one more thing to say. However, Fairy Tail, even you would struggle against a guild full of powerful wizards, especially those S-class wizards. The good news is that Makarov will not be there, and Gildart's Clive has yet to return, according to my inside source. Riku knew Death was arrogant, but he also knew she followed her commands. Make sure you show them why we're to be feared. Understood, Lord Riku. She bowed once again and went away, still excited about facing Urza. After Death had left, Itachi emerged from the shadows. Itachi, ah. Excellent timing. Riku greeted his right-hand man, Itachi, with a small bow. Itachi pulled out a book and handed it to Riku. A black tome of dark arts. Itachi, you did an excellent job. I must inquire, Lord Riku, why you sent Death to Magnolia Town. Itachi was inquisitive, but his austere expression didn't reveal it. Riku stowed the tome and spoke. I assumed you were listening in. Oh, you mean why I sent the bloodthirstiest of us to find Urza Scarlet? He chuckled quietly. Because, despite her desire to face formidable foes, she completes her mission regardless of personal feelings. Something not even you could do. This triggered Itachi's eyes to turn red and his face to reflect a rare feeling, wrath. You haven't given that look in a long time. Relax, I didn't want to offend you. Itachi took a long breath in before exhaling. I understand, that there's something I'm not aware of. I understand, Kisame, but you could have sent me and I could have easily captured her. Riku was aware that Itachi had already deduced the true reason behind Death's dispatch. You want to use her as an example to show that the demon blades are not to be trifled with, especially since Fairy Tail's strongest members are not among them. You know me so well, my dear old pupil. Itachi's simple deduction amused him because anyone could figure out why he sent Death. Fairy Tail kidnapped 3 of our own, one of whom was my son and the other Orochimaru's son. It's about time we took one of theirs. How about Naruto? Isn't he your nephew? Kushina Uzumaki, your sister's child. He is a member of that guild, and Death may kill him in order for her to demonstrate her dominance. Itachi began to sweat as one of Riku's eyes turned slanted and entirely white, seeming demonic and radiating bloodlust at him. This is him when he's only annoyed. What would happen if he's pissed? Itachi then got down on one knee. Forgive me, Lord Riku, it was not my place. Riku regained his composure and forgiven him. My nephew would not be so frail to succumb to Death. Remember, he defeated Zabuza and should be able to survive against her at the very least. He and his colleague were the ones who defeated my son. Riku had faith in those descended from him. Don't forget, he carries the blood of Minato Namikaze, a man known for having the devil's luck. I understand, my lord. Itachi then switched topics. What exactly are your orders, Lord Riku? Riku summoned a crystal ball while Itachi waited for his commands. The Magical Council has imprisoned Orion and Silva. Their weapons were stored in a vault within the prison. Recover them, as well as the weapons. Itachi was astonished because the last time a Demon Blade member failed, Riku ordered his execution. Riku became aware of Itachi's environment. Is there something wrong, Itachi? There is nothing, my lord. I'm going to depart. Itachi bowed and walked away, leaving Riku alone with his thoughts. I will teach you guys, Silva and Orion, that failure is not an option. Silva, was the training I gave you insufficient? Orion, didn't you say you have better genetics than everyone else on the planet? Riku stood up and proceeded down the halls of his castle. It's funny that Fairy Tail is still a thorn in my side. However, I will triumph this time. Wizard Saint meeting location. 2 days later, inside the massive room, there were 10 seats, 9 for normal humans and 1 for a 25-foot-tall person. 3 people arrived soon after. Jura Niki's, the 10th seat, was first, followed by Makarov Dreyar, the 5th seat. Then there was a male humanoid with blue skin. Icicles protruded from his shoulders, and his skin had an ice hue, particularly around his face. He was dressed in Viking trousers and boots, with a single strap covering his body and connecting to the spalder on his left shoulder. He was wearing a Viking helmet with 1 broken horn. His other distinguishing characteristics were his crimson eyes and his height, which stood at 20 feet with an athletic burly body. Lord Utenheim, it has been a very long time. Makarov bowed first, followed by Jura, who was nervous in the presence of this colossus. The giant looked at them before chuckling, followed by Makarov, which perplexed Jura. Maki boy. You have shrunk. Utenheim bowed down and extended his right index finger, while Makarov used his right hand to shake the giant's finger as a handshake. Excuse me. Jura interrupted their brief reunion to draw their attention. Sorry to interrupt your reunion, Master Makarov and Master Utenheim, but may I ask how you two know each other? The behemoth locked his gaze on the bald man, leading Jura to believe that he had enraged him by interrupting their chat. Ha 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 ha. Utenheim laughed at Jura's nervousness. Don't worry, I'm not going to eat you. Jura exhaled a breath of relaxation. I've known the members of the Fairy Tale Guild since its inception. Wah. Jura's jaw dropped comically on the floor. Wait, that must mean you're at least 100 years old. This made Utenheim laugh once more. I'm well over 300 years old. Jura was astonished but sighed, returning to his solemn demeanor. I am delighted to meet you, Master Utenheim. Please forgive me for not introducing myself. My name is Jura Nikis of the Lamia scale. Utenheim gave a single nod. It's also nice to meet you. He looked at Makarov. Do you know why the wizard saints are gathering, Maki? Jura followed Makarov as he shook his head. Perhaps you could tell us, young people. His tone shifted to solemnity. The group could already sense the arrival of two more wizard saints. The first was a knight in brass armor, a shield slung to his back and his sword sheathed. A woman with long black hair, blue eyes, and pale skin appeared next, wearing a purple witch's robe and holding a staff. His armor is the Dark Souls 3 brass armor set, his sword is the Astora straight sword, and his shield is the Dragon Crest shield. Your names are Anastasia the Chaotic Witch and Ostrava, Knight of Hollows. The two of them bowed to the other three. They were all aware of three powerful magical presences emanating from the halls. The first was an old man who appeared to be part tree, the second was a little old man with spectacles, and the third was the most horrifying of them all. A man dressed like a gentleman but with pointed ears and a vampiric appearance. It appears that we are missing two people, the sixth seat, Kakashi, and the first seat, God Serena. The vampiric guy talked quietly, his presence making most of the lower-ranked wizard saints sweat, with the exception of Utenheim and Makarov, though even Makarov had a small sweat drop. 8 of us here is more than I could have hoped for, so without further ado, let us begin. As everyone took their seats, the vampiric man began. Magnolia City. Do you live in Magnolia Town? So they're getting ready for a festival here? I'll give them a festival, a blood carnival. Esdeath smiled as she walked across town, looking for her target. To be continued.
That's it for this part, guys. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this part of the story, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support, and have a great day.